So I've lived a life of ritual in my own experience and my own background, and as I grew into the field of conflict analysis and resolution, and especially the ethics of it, I started to see some things missing in the field and missing in practice, and a lot of the practice was particularly focused on dialogue. But I've seen many people with heavy trauma and with heavy suspicion of each other respond to other things, and sometimes I would just experiment, and I'm looking for a way of understanding why those experiments are working. And one of those experiments was that I sat in a room with people heavily laden with sadness and war, and I couldn't tell why they weren't speaking to each other, and they were all in Syria, they were all from Syria, and they were all in Jordan, and we were right on the border, and they had just come out. And I did something, and I passed around some figs that I had just bought in Jerusalem. And I said, I want to pass each of these figs to you, but don't eat them. And then I want to say a blessing. And I said, I want to bless with this fig that you all have long life and happiness and everything that you seek. And then they went around one by one, and I asked them to each make a blessing. And so this one blessed that I want to be able to find the grave of my brother. I want to be able to be buried in my backyard. I want to see my brother one more time. They all started weeping. And then they bonded. But they had come from a police state, and it had never been done before. It was also that the ritual I gave was a Jewish ritual, and they were Muslim and Christian. But it didn't matter. And I didn't say it was Jewish. I said, I want you all to do a Jewish ritual. What I did was I focused on that deep space, and Jerusalem, which is a symbol for everyone, and figs, which are a symbol of life. And through my intuition in that second, that the dialogue was not going to work, I drew deeper into myself and drew deeper into them, without being very invasive, but invitational, and it worked. I want to know why it works. I want to know why it works so that we can find an intelligent way to move this into practice. Not in a gross way, not in an invasive way, but just in a subtle way to see the power of how we can all change each other for the better, despite the horror of war, and maybe even prevent wars by going deeply into our relationships through ritual.